And Jesus is telling a story about who our neighbors are. And he's saying, listen, you can't hide behind your excuses, religious or otherwise, because to love God is to love people. As far as the Samaritan goes, listen, there's no expectation. There is no reason for this man to involve himself, except that apparently he loved God and he loved people. Even people who, if the roles were reversed, would not stop. Or if they did stop, they would stop helping as soon as they found out he was a Samaritan. Didn't stop him, right? He goes, he sees, he invests in meeting this man's need. So who's the neighbor? That's the question, right? It's obvious. The Samaritan was the neighbor, but what's our takeaway? If you leave here today and the only thing you leave with is an expanded definition of who your neighbor should be, I've failed. Because that was the point Jesus was making, not the meaning he was giving. I think what Jesus was saying to them and to us is that you can't hide behind excuses, even religious ones, if you claim to love God. You came here today, most of you because you claim to love God. Some of you because you're trying to figure out if God is somebody worthy of loving. I think in this story, we know that the Samaritan shows us what it looks like to love God and to love people. Yes? Is it possible that Jesus told this story so that we would have a skin-on, real-life picture of what Jesus came to do? Think about it for just a second. Jesus was the Samaritan. You're the beaten man. Jesus shows up and he has no obligation to help you at all. What did you ever do for him? Nothing. Nothing. And yet, he has come to you. He has sought you out. He has seen your wounds. He has seen the damage done to you. And he steps down and he's poured on the oil. He's poured on the wine. He has bandaged you up. He has put you on his donkey. He has taken you to the inn, and he has left the deposit to meet every need you have. And Jesus is telling a story about who our neighbors are. And he's saying, listen, you can't hide behind your excuses, religious or otherwise, because to love God is to love people. Amen. The question is never which people. It's the wrong question. Which people did Jesus die on the cross for? All of them. Where do we get off asking who's my neighbor? The question isn't which people. Jesus, as he's telling this story, he's thinking, I am on my way to the cross on Calvary, where I'm going to die a brutal death that I want no part of. Right? He knows this is coming. And he's going to make that trip to that cross for that Samaritan that the priest and the Levite hated. To me, what's even more amazing is he's going to make that trip to that cross for the priest and the Levite who had just butchered and misrepresented the law that he came to fulfill. What's even better is that in that moment, he is looking at a man who props himself up as an expert in the law, whose purpose there is to bring Jesus down. And as he's telling this story, Jesus knows, I'm going to the cross to die for that man. Which people is always the wrong question. And this teaching is tough because Jesus tears down every excuse. Every excuse that I try to hide behind to avoid serving others. Listen, I have been the priest. I have been a professional Christian most of my life. And right, there are times that I get in my head, I've got too many important things to do to help that person with that need. What? Yeah. I've been the Levite. I've engaged in religious arguments and making points and doing religious things, all while ignoring the people right in front of me that needed me to just be the hands and feet of Jesus. Thankfully, there have been moments that I've been the Samaritan as well. Those moments when I fought through my selfishness, I put aside my ego, I set down my rhetoric, and I simply asked, what would Jesus do? And I did that. Those have been the moments that I've been the Samaritan. Listen, we're going to wrap up with two questions. If you were here last week, this is exactly how Clint ended. He asked two questions. And the first question is really important. It's an important question. Where are you in this story? Where are you in this story? Now, we ask that question, and okay. But isn't it so much easier to point a finger at somebody else you saw in the story? It's like, look at, I saw Bill, he's just like that Levite. I'll tell you what, pass by on the other side, he should know better. Don't do it. Don't point a finger at somebody else. You identify where you are. And I think it's a powerful question. But question 2 is so much better. You know what it is? Where do you want to be in the story? Where do you want to be? Man, if I've done anything right today, the answer is I want to be the Samaritan, right? I want to be the Samaritan. I want to love God enough, to love people enough, to serve them in a way that meets their need. I want to be the Samaritan. Let's follow up that question. What will it take for you to become the Good Samaritan in the lives of the people around you? It doesn't do us any good to come in here and sit. It doesn't do any good to sing. It doesn't do us any good to think. The only thing that's going to matter is that whether we take this story that Jesus told beyond its point, down to its meaning, and do what he said to do. He said, go and do likewise. Let's do that. Listen, the details of your life and the things that you have to do, the specifics might be different person to person, but the general answer is the same for every one of us. If we want to be good neighbors who actually love God, we must be willing to be inconvenienced for the benefit of others. Right? This is Foundation's definition of service. Clint speaks it often. We must be willing to be inconvenienced for the benefit of others. We live in a society where convenience is king. I remember when my household got our first microwave. It was a big deal. Those microwave dinners were terrible. We didn't know it. It was cool. Push a button, man, 3 minutes. I love convenience. You do too, right? We're spending our lives trying to get as much convenience around us as possible. And I'm not mad at it. But when we prioritize our convenience over meeting needs of real people in front of us, it ought to lead us to ask a question about the legitimacy of our love for God. Is that too harsh? I don't think so. Because if we're not willing to love people where they are and do what we can to meet their needs, I have to question whether we really love God or not. Because as I said before, right, to love God is to love people. I don't think you get one without the other. The priest and the Levite, they couldn't be inconvenienced to help this man. The Samaritan, he chose to be significantly inconvenienced, right? He offered up open-handedly his time, his effort, his resources, his donkey, his money, his attention. He gave them. He was inconvenienced. And what I see in him is that he was a good lover of God. Do you want to be a good lover of God? I do too. It's a decision that we can make. It's a path that we can choose. But I want to be very clear that if you choose to love God, you will have to choose to love people. And if you love people, you don't get to choose which ones. And I can guarantee you, 100% sure, that if you love people, you will be inconvenienced in meeting needs they have. My challenge to you today is to choose to love God enough, to love people enough to serve them. Did you hear it? Will you love God enough to love people enough to serve them? I think that's why Jesus told the story. He wanted us to know what it looked like to love God and to love people.